Guys, what's up? Alpha Lion Simba here, and welcome to another episode of Magnificent and Mythological. I've talked about dragons frequently on this segment. I've already talked about Chinese dragons and European dragons, but now it's time to talk into a group of lesser known dragons, and that is African dragons, because I did find a few from actual African mythology and the Dragonology book that I own that I can discuss. So without further ado, let's talk about African dragons. Most dragons in African folklore have evolved independently from the dragons in European and Asian folklore and religions, and therefore they don't share too many similarities with them. However, myths of giant, supernatural, serpentine, or reptilian creatures persevere even in environments where real dragons exist, actually referring to animals like pythons or crocodiles. But let's get on with it. African dragons are serpentine with 2 or 4 legs. 4-legged dragons can fly, and 2-legged dragons can't unless they have wings. People often gave the dragons gifts in exchange for healing the sick and injured. 2 examples of African dragons are the partners Aida, the rainbow goddess, and Dambala, the cosmic rainbow serpent, both of which are celebrated in West African folklore. Dambala was the serpent of the earth, and Aida was the snake of the sky that brought rain and made rainbows. In art, they are shown as intertwined serpents. In the Dahomean religion, Aida Huedo carried the creator spirit Mawu Lisa, formed by the energies of Mawu and Lisa, born of Nana Buluku, the greater goddess, in her mouth. Mawu Lisa populated the land with life, while Aida Huedo carved out valleys in the landscape with her sinuous serpentine movements, forming mountains and hills with her dung. In Fawn religion, Aida was made to serve Nana Buluku by holding up the sky. The most notable dragon in Egyptian mythology is the serpent Apep, or Apophis, the enemy of Ra. When the sun sets in the evening, it must travel under the earth throughout the night. This underworld is home to a vast dark sea where Apep waits to leap out and swallow the sun along with Ra. Every night, Ra must evade and vanquish Apep for the sun to rise the next morning. And according to the Dragonology book, Africa also has its own wyvern known as Draco africanus. It usually nests in a rocky crag or occasionally a circular nest in an area of sand dunes or grass. The adults could be 50 feet long and 18 to 20 feet high. Their forms of attack include teeth, claws, a lashing tail, and they mainly preyed upon elephants, hippos, rhinos, or other large herbivores. Another dragon from Egyptian mythology is Akek, also known as Akeku. It's characterized as a fantastical beast with a long serpentine body with 4 legs to support it. It was believed to live in remote locations in Egypt, primarily beside the Nile Valley around the Fringe Desert. Another description of the beast is that it's a beast with the body of a winged antelope and a bird's head. 3 ueri crowned the head, and it looked similar to a griffin. Akeku was originally recorded in ancient Egypt as an aspect of the deity Set. The serpent and the Set animal were common symbols of Set, as Set was the personification of the powers of darkness and of evil, and the forces of waters, which were supposed to resist the light and orders. A number of beasts which dealt in the waters, or at least partly on land and partly in the water, were regarded as symbols of him and as beings he took up to this habitation. There's also the great serpent Masingi from a traditional Shangaan tale in southern Africa. Masingi, the great healer, lived down in a deep hole that lay in the center of a beautiful, clean dwelling, and it is said that he could bring anyone back to health. And then there's Bida, a great serpent from the Soninike folklore of Ghana. In Wagadu, it rained gold 3 times a year because of Lagare's grandfather had given Bida, the dragon, 10 maidens every year. Under Koliko's guidance, Lagare planned to continue with Bida's deal, except he would only sacrifice 1 maiden a year. Bida was outside the gates of Wagadu, where Lagare agreed to give him 1 maiden a year so that it would rain gold 3 times a year. For 3 years, women were sacrificed to Bida. By custom, the next firstborn female of Wagadu was to be sacrificed to Bida. This was Sia Jatabari, perhaps the fairest maiden born to Wagadu. Her lover was Mamadi Sefedekote, who often wooed her with gold. But she was promised to Bida, so she was dressed up in a marriage attire and brought to the well outside the city where she was to be consumed by Bida. The people of the two came out with her, following her. Mamadi did not wish for her to die, so he rode out with the procession to face Bida. Each time Bida took a maiden, it was his wont to raise his head 3 times out of the well, on the 3rd time taking his victim. When Mamadi reached the well, he cut off Bida's head as he reached for the 3rd time. His head flew off, and he cried out a curse upon Wagadu, which would make the gold rain stop for 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days. The people, upon hearing the curse, chased Mamadi and Sia Jatabari out of the area. It was only because of Mamadi's uncle that they escaped to a safe place. Next was Manyohe from Basotho folklore of Lesotho. In the first tale, Senkepeng, the sister of Chief Masilo, did not want to marry. They went to a singing party at Morakapula and sing the whole day. Morakapula calls for rain, saying that Senkepeng refused to dance with him, so it rains the whole night. The next day, Morakapula forbids everyone to give lodge to the girl. So she and her brother decide to return home despite the rivers being full. Masilo and his people cross the river without problems, but some kind of force pushes Senkepeng back and she cannot cross it. They try several more times, but to no avail. She and her brother part ways, and she soldiers on next to the banks of the Mitoke River. She finds a heap of asparagus the river carried and enters it, leaving her tomo nearby. One morning, a woman named Mamonhoye approaches a fountain and sees the heap. She finds Senkepeng and rejoices that she has found a wife for her son. After taking Senkepeng to her hunt, Mamonyoho sees the oxen and sheep have been slaughtered, strong beer has been brewed, and bread has been baked, and instructs Senkepeng to carry a basket of each to Mohion's hut, who is to be her husband. Mamonyohe orders her to return and fetch utensils. After entering the hut and seeing only bones from the meat, Senkepeng wonders who is the invisible figure that eats the food in an instant. The woman orders the girl to find some kafir corn and take it to her husband, along with some bread and thick milk. And again, Senkepeng questions herself about the incident. Mamonyohe directs her to sleep at her husband's hut. On the first night, the girl sleeps on the ground and cannot see anything, but feels Monyohe's tail strike her. She wakes up and resumes yesterday's routine. One day, some people of the village questions her why she does not leave the place and go home, and she answers that she does not know how. One day, the girl goes to the fountain and puts down the jug and goes on a long journey home. Meanwhile, back at Monyohe's hut, he comes out of it hot in pursuit of his wife. Senkepeng sings a song or kind of spell to stop Monyohe in his tracks as she continues her way back to her village. Citing two boys herding her village's cattle, she begs them to alert the people about the pursuing serpent. As Monyohe arrives, tired due to the pursuit, the village kills him with knives and razors. Mamonyohe soon comes after and laments the death of her son. Then she orders for a black ox to be killed. She wraps her son's remains with its hide and burns it with a black cinder. She takes the ox's karos, goes to the pool, and throws it in the pool. She circles the pool a few times, and Monyohe comes out of it no longer as a serpent, but as a man, and Senkepeng marries the now human Monyohe. And there's a creature called the Grootslang, which is said to dwell deep in a cave in the Richtersveld area of South Africa, but that will be another video for another time. Well, that was it. My magnificent and mythological episode on African dragons. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave requests in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Alpha Lion Simba, out.